This video is dedicated to my friend Enrique. He keeps having trouble with those knight jumps, those knight forks. So let me tell you how I just eradicated that from my game for the most part, of course. Now, number one, to get rid of those forks and not fall for them anymore, it's gonna come a lot with practice and improving your vision of the board. But there are specific things that I do, and I know you could do as well to improve in this area. Now, the first thing for me, what changed everything was understanding how the bishop controls the knight. For example, in this position, this knight is attacking my bishop. I need to make a move. Of course, I could go anywhere on these diagonals, but there are two specific squares that are key. Number one is going bishop a1. Anytime I have my bishop 2 squares away from the knight, I control that knight. However, the absolute best in this position is bishop d4. Now I am controlling that knight not only down here, but everywhere the knight can jump to, I'm controlling with the bishop. So 2 squares away from the knight, to me, that's like the go-to. Especially if I am under time pressure, I need to move fast, I just look for this pattern. 2 squares away from the knight. Not only can the knight not hit me again, but I am controlling the knight very nicely. And of course, from here, my active bishop is going to help the king, and I should be able to convert the game while this knight is completely out of the game. Now, with that said, that's going to already give me patterns that I know are going to be safe to stay away from the forks. For example, from here, I'm in check with the king. I know that if I put my king right next to the knight, it's impossible for the knight to hit me again in one move, right? And the same thing, if I put it anywhere here, that knight cannot hit me. If I put my king with 1 square in between diagonally, also that knight cannot get to me. It's going to take him so long to hit me on c3, right? So probably 1, 2, 3 moves to hit that king. And lastly, the one that you already know, if I put it 2 squares away from the knight, that's going to be also unable for the knight to hit me on the next move. It's going to take him at least 2 moves to get to the king. So with that said, if I go to this final position, guys, notice how the same thing, I'm in check. My pawn is so close to promotion, but I have to be careful not to let the knight get to the pawn, right? Believe it or not, here, there are only 2 moves I could do with the king to actually win the game. If I do anything else, look, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 possible moves. Only 2 actually win the game. And the other 5 are going to be a draw. Now, if I have to make this move under time pressure, I would go with this. Just getting away from the knight, 2 squares away from it, it's not going to hit me, and I'm sort of controlling it just like the bishop does, right? So now there's nothing that I could do to stop my pawn. They could try to get closer, but now I'm gone. There's no way they can get to it. And look, there's no funny checks because I am 2 squares away from that knight, okay? Now, if instead I go king to d3, 1 square in between diagonally, this is also winning. They cannot put me in check anymore. And if they go over, that's it. There's no check, there's nothing. Now, with that said, if I had played right here, right next to it diagonally, I already know this is bad. Check, and anywhere I go, they're going to be able to stop that pawn. The same thing, if I had moved right here, remember, this is going to be perfect for them to put me in check. So 97, and anywhere I go, they're going to have knight c8. And then lastly, to be fair, I told you right next to that knight, you're going to be okay. However, here it doesn't work specifically because after the knight goes to e7, they are, look, 1 square in between, but you're in front of each other. So this is perfect for them to put you in check again. So when you go a7, they have a fork. So anyways, guys, it doesn't hurt to have these ideas, these patterns, and hopefully they come to you when you need them, when you're playing against those knights. And trust me, maybe you fall for it 2, 3, 4, 5 more times, but you're gonna keep reminding yourself, I fell for this fork again. I didn't do what I learned in that video to put it away 2 squares, or to put it right next to it, or 1 square in between from the knight. Little things, the more you practice it, the more you reinforce it, the easier it will become for you. So I hope that you found it useful. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in our next video.